Hi, I'm Ann Ganguza from buywine.com, and I'm here at Be Wise Wineries, and we're going to go on a journey to find out what it takes to go from this to your next glass of wine. So Chris, I love your passion about winemaking, and you're so knowledgeable about the area. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about where we are.
So today we're here in Sonoma Valley and up on the hills in the Moon Mountain District. What really sets this part aside from all the other parts on the valley floor there is rocks. We're talking volcanic matter that came out of volcanoes. And this is one of the great examples of why it's so special here in Sonoma Valley. That's a volcanic rock.
It's a big rock.
And because of all of this runoff here, the vineyards were actually made right here on these hillsides.
I'm also noticing some artwork on the wall over here.
Yeah, you
what
quite
is that?
often see that mythical figure named Bacchus.
Bacchus.
And Bacchus likes wine too, just like great sommeliers and great consumers around the world that follow buywine.com. And what I want to do is take you into another thing that you see when you have great hillsides made out of volcanic rock, and that's called the wine cave.
Now that we're here, do we just take a grape and smush it and it becomes wine? Or?
Not that simple.
Okay.
Well, the darker the grape, darker red, or even kind of more of a black grape, which is this is the Tannat, and it's fairly dark grape.
Okay.
Its skins are not that thick like these are. So what you do is you ferment the grapes with the skins after they've become the color, ferment them, and then you come into the cave where you put the wine in the barrels.
So the fermenting process is not done in the cave then? The fermenting process is done elsewhere?
This is the cellar where you really keep the wines aging inside the barrels and inside cool climate conditions so that they don't heat up where the alcohol will burn off too much and that the flavors will be lost just because of that.
Got it. So I see lots of barrels in here.
What's special about these barrels right here, there's a whole wall of these barrels going down here. They're labeled by the clone of Cabernet. This is all Cabernet inside this barrel. All clone 341, and it's from one of the blocks out there that we were looking at earlier today.
So a block is referring to the plot of land that's
Absolutely.
growing the grapes.
Sometimes they're just 1 acre, sometimes they're like 2.5 acres.
Okay.
But all this little part of the wall right here is all these barrels have little portions of the grapes from that block that have been made into wine, and now they're aging in these barrels. So when you are really analyzing a wine and you're swirling it and you're smelling it, there's 2 points there that you really are trying to find when you're smelling it, and that is aromas and bouquet. And they are 2 different parts of the equation. The aromas are what, if we were to take these grapes and just squish them and go, that smells like cherries, or that smells like raspberries or strawberries, that's the natural fruit smell that you really get from these grapes. What bouquet is more the winemaker's touch. And the winemaker's touch is partially happening right now in front of us with these barrels. And these barrels all have a little bit of a different kind of flavor to them. So they're burned on the inside, so they have this part of medium toast or heavy toast. And so that means the part inside is charred. And so the younger barrels, new barrel, is going to have a lot of charred matter in there. And so they become very dynamic and bold flavors. Whereas after a year or so, it really is a little bit more subtle, a little bit more cinnamon. That little bit of vanilla is still there, but that is really a winemaker's touch.
Wow, it's got to be such a science. I mean, it's such a science, and there's got to be so many different varieties of wines, and it has to do with so much, not only the grape, but the barrels, which I never realized, and all sorts of conditions.
Yeah,
wow.
It's not easy to make wine, and to make outstanding wine.
Yeah.
That's why you got to have great grapes to make great wines, and really progress with that, with the use of great barrels and a great cave like this.
Wow. So we're here in the wine tasting room, and we have a couple of bottles of wine. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say that we are in a very special part of the cave. I would call this the man cave. We've got this great art on the wall, and Brian Wise likes to be classy with his style inside this cave. So this is a very unique little setting, especially when you're tasting these wines. So first one that we've got here is the Sonoma Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. This is a 2010 vintage. So where we were outside is exactly where these grapes were grown.
Wow.
So this is a fantastic wine. A lot of body, a lot of structure to this wine. Dark fruit flavors, fantastic. Now this is another Cabernet Sauvignon, but this is from a vineyard just above us here called Monte Rosso. Very famous vineyard, planted back at the turn of last century when these grapes were replanted, but they were originally planted in the 1850s.
Wow.
So a lot of history on that site right above us here and above this cave. So Monte Rosso Vineyard from Sonoma Valley. And the last one, which I love, is Zinfandel, especially from Sonoma Valley. A lot of old vineyards here, some actually dating back to the 1880s, that are still alive. They've outlived generations of people.
Amazing.
That's how amazing these vines are. So for us to be tasting a Zinfandel, this is the 2011 vintage from B-Wise, and a fantastic grape.
Wow, that's great.
It really works here in this kind of climate and effect. So just a great thing. That's what I'm always looking for with buywine.com, is to find these kinds of gems. And I just love them. And when you find them in B-Wise and you're in a man cave tasting them,
that's
fantastic.
There's nothing better.